At 8:42 p.m. on a Friday night, I stood in the parking lot of my apartment complex with 2 black trash bags, 1 broken suitcase, and an eviction notice folded in my coat pocket. It was raining hard enough to soak through my shoes. My phone kept buzzing in my hand. At first I thought it was my landlord. Then I thought maybe my mother had finally called to ask if I had somewhere to sleep. But when I looked down, I saw 27 notifications from people I had not spoken to in years. Then I saw the video. My sister had posted it. The caption said, "When the family finally stops enabling the professional victim." There I was, standing outside Building C with my hair stuck to my face, trying to carry a box of old tax records while the wind kept blowing the lid open. My sister had filmed me from inside her car. I could hear her laughing behind the camera. Then she zoomed in on the eviction notice taped to my door. Her voice said, "Some people need consequences." The video had already been shared 1,900 times. There were comments from cousins, former co-workers, people from church, people who had sat at my mother's dining room table and eaten food I paid for. One woman wrote, "Finally. She always gave jealous older sister energy." My sister replied with 3 laughing emojis. I remember standing under the flickering parking lot light, staring at that screen, while rain dripped off my chin onto the glass. My name is Elise Parker. I was 34 years old. And that night, my whole family wanted the world to believe I had been thrown out because I was irresponsible, broke, bitter, and jealous of my younger sister. They wanted people to see me as a failure. They wanted people to laugh. What they did not know was that the apartment was temporary. What they did not know was that the eviction notice was not the whole story. And what my sister especially did not know, as she sat in her warm SUV recording my worst moment for strangers online, was that the mortgage on her perfect little house was not with a bank. It was with my LLC. She had spent 2 years bragging about being a homeowner. She had posted photos from her white kitchen, her nursery, her backyard fire pit, and her front porch swing. She had called me unstable from inside a house she only had because I had helped her get it. And by the time she realized what she had forgotten, the video had already gone viral. So had the receipts, too. Before everything broke. Before that night I lived a quiet life. Not glamorous, not sad, just quiet. I ran a small property maintenance and rental management company called Blue Harbor Holdings LLC. It started with me cleaning apartments between tenants, painting walls, replacing cabinet handles, and learning how to fix garbage disposals from videos at 2 in the morning. By 32, I had 2 duplexes, 1 small office above a laundromat, and a reputation among local landlords as the person who showed up when she said she would. I did not come from money. I came from a family that talked about money constantly but never honestly. My father, Richard, believed money was proof of character. If you had it, you were smart. If you lost it, you were weak. If someone else had more than you found a way to stand near them and pretend it reflected on you. My mother, Carol, cared more about appearances than facts. She ironed tablecloths for people she hated. She smiled at church with her hand on my sister's shoulder and introduced me afterward as our practical one, which sounded like a compliment until you heard how she said my sister's name. Madison. My little sister. Maddie, to everyone who loved her, which was everyone my mother controlled. Maddie was 29, beautiful in the effortless way that was actually very expensive. She had soft blonde waves, a bright laugh, and the ability to cry exactly when crying would help her. When we were kids, she broke my glasses and said I scared her. I got grounded for making her feel unsafe. When we were teenagers, she took my debit card to buy a dress for homecoming. My mother said, "Elise, you know she has anxiety. Why are you making this about money?" When I was 22, I worked 2 jobs to finish college after my parents told me they could not help. That same year, they paid Maddie's rent because, as Dad said, "She has a softer spirit than you." That was the phrase. Softer spirit. It meant she got rescued. Got lectures. Still I tried. That was the embarrassing part. 4 years I kept trying to be chosen by people who only noticed me when something needed to be fixed, paid, cleaned, arranged, or forgiven. I repaired my parents' porch after Dad slipped on the steps. I paid Mom's dental bill when insurance denied part of it. I helped Maddie move 3 times. I loaned her money for car repairs. I covered her phone bill for 6 months after she quit a receptionist job because her boss used a tone. I told myself that family was complicated. I told myself I was strong enough not to need what Maddie needed. But strength becomes a cage when people start using it as permission to abandon you. All I wanted before everything collapsed was one peaceful year. 1 year where nobody called me selfish for having boundaries. 1 year where my phone did not ring because someone else had created an emergency and expected me to solve it. 1 year where my name did not mean free labor. Almost got it. Then Maddie wanted a house. 3. The family favorite. Maddie announced she was house hunting at my mother's birthday dinner. It was April 16th, at a steakhouse with dark booths and lights low enough to make everyone look kinder than they were. Dad ordered a bottle of wine he complained about for 20 minutes. Mom wore pearls. Maddie arrived late with her husband, Blake, and a folder full of listings. "We're done renting," she said, sliding into the booth. "Rent is just throwing money away." I was sitting across from her, wearing the only black dress I owned that did not have paint on the hem. I remember looking at her nails. Pale pink. Perfect. Not one chipped edge. Blake nodded like a man who had repeated the sentence in the mirror. "We want to build equity." Dad smiled at him. Dad loved words like equity, investment, portfolio. He loved those words more than he loved understanding them. "That's smart," he said. "Very smart." Maddie looked at me. "Elise, you know people. Maybe you can ask one of your landlord friends if they have a cute house before it goes on the market." There it was. Not "will you help me?" Not "could you give me advice?" Just an expectation dressed as conversation. Said maybe. "But you'll still need financing." Her smile tightened. Mom put down her fork. "Don't start." "I'm not starting," I said. "I'm saying houses cost money." Maddie laughed lightly, but her eyes went wet. "Wow. Okay." Dad sighed. "Elise." That one word meant stop making your sister uncomfortable with reality. Blake leaned back. "We talked to a bank. They said my credit history is complicated, but fixable." Complicated meant 2 repossessions, 3 charged-off credit cards, and a debt collector that had called my office by mistake the year before. I knew because Maddie had used my business address on one of her forms. I said carefully, "Then maybe wait 6 months. Save more. Clean up the credit." Maddie's face changed. "Not much. Just enough for me to know I had stepped out of my assigned role." "You don't want me to have anything," she said. The table went quiet. I stared at her. "That is not true." "Yes, it is," she said. "You've always hated when things happen for me." Mom reached over and rubbed her back. Dad looked at me with disgust, like I had thrown water on a bride. "She's excited," he said. "Can you let her have one moment?" I looked around that table and felt something old and tired press against my ribs. My sister could ask for my contacts, my time, my knowledge, and my help. But if I added one practical sentence, I was cruel. That was the family rule. Maddie's feelings were facts. Mine were problems. 3 weeks later, she called me crying from a grocery store parking lot. The house she wanted had 3 bedrooms, a blue front door, and a fenced yard. The seller wanted to close fast. Maddie and Blake had been denied by 2 lenders. My parents could not co-sign because Dad had quietly borrowed against their home equity line to cover gambling losses he called market timing. Maddie did not tell me that part. Mom did. "Elise," Mom whispered over the phone, "this would destroy her." "What would?" "If she loses this house." She already told everyone. That sentence explained my entire family. The house did not matter because Maddie needed shelter. It mattered because Maddie had already posted about it. I should have said no. Instead, I drove to see the property. It was a small Cape Cod on Hazel Street. White siding, sagging gutters, decent bones. The kitchen needed work. The basement smelled damp. The seller, an older man named Mr. Klein, wanted cash or a clean private deal because he was moving to Arizona to live near his daughter. I had just enough liquidity through Blue Harbor to structure the purchase as an investment property. Maddie and Blake would make monthly payments to the LLC under a recorded mortgage and occupancy agreement until they could refinance traditionally. I told them the terms 3 times. I put everything in writing. I made them sit in a lawyer's office and initial every page. Maddie hugged me afterward in the parking lot and cried into my shoulder. "You saved my life," she said. For 1 second I believed that might change something. Did. It made them more comfortable taking from me. For the betrayal. 2 years later, I was the one who needed temporary help. Not money. Not a rescue. Just quiet. A pipe burst in one of my duplexes during a freeze, and the insurance fight dragged on longer than expected. I decided to move into a small apartment for 8 months while I repaired the unit I normally used. That was the apartment in Building C. It was ugly but clean. Beige walls. Old carpet. A refrigerator that hummed like it was angry. I signed a short lease and kept most of my things in storage. I did not tell my family much because they had a way of turning any inconvenience in my life into evidence that I was failing. But Maddie found out. She came by one Saturday without calling. I opened the door and saw her standing there with a coffee cup, looking past me into the apartment. "Oh," she said. That was all. Just oh. But her eyes moved across the room, taking inventory. The folding table I was using as a desk. The mattress on a metal frame. The boxes stacked near the wall. The chipped mug in my sink. "This is temporary," I said, hating myself for explaining. She smiled. "Of course." I changed the subject. "Are you here for something?" Her face softened instantly into need. "Blake's hours got cut." Waited. "And the mortgage payment might be late," she said. "Just this month." It was already late. By 17 days. I knew because Blue Harbor's account showed no payment, and because I had received 3 bounced ACH notices in 6 months. "Maddie," I said, "we need to talk about that." Her eyes hardened. "Don't do this." "Do what?" "Act like a landlord. I am the note holder. You're my sister. And you signed a contract." Her mouth opened like I had slapped her. Within an hour my mother called. "How dare you threaten your sister's home," she said. "I didn't threaten anything. I asked about missed payments. You have always been jealous of that house." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. 'Cause it was insane. "Mom, my company bought that house." "No," she snapped. "You helped. Don't rewrite history to make yourself important." That sentence stayed with me. Don't rewrite history to make yourself important. For 2 years, Maddie had told people she and Blake bought the house on their own. My parents let her. I never corrected it because I thought silence was generous. But silence had become a weapon in their hands. 2 months later, after 4 missed payments and 1 partial payment labeled, "Stop harassing me" in the memo line, I sent a formal notice through my attorney. Not a foreclosure. Not yet. Just a cure notice. Maddie posted a quote online that night. "Some people only help so they can control you." My mother commented. "The truth always comes out." By morning, relatives were messaging me. "Is everything okay with you and Maddie? Your mom said you're trying to take Maddie's house." Money changes people. I ignored it. Then my apartment manager called me on a Tuesday afternoon and said there had been several complaints. Unauthorized business activity. Aggressive behavior. Suspicious visitors. None of it was true. When I asked who complained, he got uncomfortable. "I can't disclose that," he said. But later, a neighbor named Mrs. Alvarez knocked on my door. "Honey," she said softly, "your sister was here yesterday, taking pictures of your door." My stomach went cold. 3 days later, I received the eviction notice. And that Friday night, Maddie filmed me carrying my belongings in the rain. 5. The moment I stopped begging. The video did not just hurt because strangers saw it. It hurt because my family fed it. Maddie posted the first clip at 8:29 p.m. By 9:10, my cousin Rachel had shared it with a caption, "There are 2 sides to every story." By 9:40, my Aunt Linda wrote, Maybe now she'll learn humility. At 10:03, my mother sent a message in the family group chat. Please do not attack Elise. She is going through a hard season. We are praying she accepts accountability. Accountability. That word made my hands shake. I sat in my car outside a closed pharmacy with wet socks and a phone at 12% battery, reading messages from people who had never asked me what happened. Then Maddie posted another update. This one was a selfie from her kitchen. Warm lights. Marble look counters I had helped negotiate into the renovation budget. A candle burning behind her. Her caption said, "Protecting my peace tonight." Sometimes family tries to drag you down because they can't stand seeing you blessed. She was wearing the sweater I bought her for Christmas. Called my mother. She answered on the fourth ring. "Elise," she said, already tired of me. "Did you know Maddie was filming me?" Was. "That video was unfortunate." "Unfortunate," said. "She filmed my eviction. You brought that on yourself." My throat tightened. "How?" "You've been threatening her home for months. She has not paid the mortgage in 4 months." "That is not the point." I pressed my fingers against my forehead. "Then what is the point?" "The point is that you humiliated her first. I sent a legal notice privately. To your own sister. To a borrower in default." There was silence. Then my father's voice came on the line. He must have taken the phone from her. "Enough," he said. "You need to drop this paperwork nonsense. No. You think you're powerful because you put 3 letters after a company name?" Closed my eyes. He continued. "You are living out of trash bags, Elise. Maybe stop pretending you're better than everybody." That one landed so hard I could not speak. There are sentences that do not just hurt your feelings. They rearrange your understanding of your place in someone's heart. I was sitting in a dark parking lot with nowhere to sleep, and my father used that moment to remind me I looked small. When I did not answer, he said, "Call your sister. Apologize. Tell her you'll tear up whatever document you made her sign. Then maybe this can calm down." I laughed once. Came out broken. "You want me to apologize to her? I want you to save this family from your bitterness." My phone slipped slightly in my wet hand. For years, I thought peace meant absorbing damage quietly enough that nobody else had to feel uncomfortable. But that night I understood something. They did not want peace. They wanted access without accountability. I said, "Dad, I need you to listen carefully." He sighed. "Here we go. I am not tearing up anything. I am not apologizing. And I am not paying for this family's lies anymore." His voice turned cold. "Then don't expect us to help you." I looked at the trash bags in my back seat. "You already didn't." Hung up. Then I cried. Not pretty crying. Not movie crying. The kind where your mouth opens but no sound comes out at first. The kind that makes your ribs hurt. The kind that feels embarrassing even when you are alone. At 11:12 p.m., Mrs. Alvarez called me. "I saw the video," she said. I wiped my face. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For the drama." "Elise," she said, "I have a doorbell camera. It caught your sister taping something to your door before the manager came." I stopped breathing. "She what?" "And I have the footage saved." Outside my windshield, rain ran down the glass in crooked lines. Mrs. Alvarez lowered her voice. "You need a lawyer, honey." For the first time that night I stopped crying. 'Cause I already had one. 6. What they didn't know. My attorney's name was Priya Nair. She was 5 feet tall, spoke softly, and had the terrifying calm of someone who read every word before signing anything. I met her 3 years earlier when I formed Blue Harbor Holdings LLC. She helped me structure the Hazel Street deal with Maddie and Blake because she said, "Family and money only work when the documents are stronger than the guilt." At the time I thought that was cynical. Now I thought it should be printed on birth certificates. The morning after the video, I sat in Priya's office wearing yesterday's jeans and a borrowed sweatshirt from Mrs. Alvarez. My eyes were swollen. My hair was still damp at the ends. Priya watched the video once. She did not react. Then she watched the doorbell footage from Mrs. Alvarez. On the screen, Maddie walked up to my apartment door at 6:18 a.m., wearing sunglasses and holding a folder. Blake stood behind her, looking around. Maddie peeled something from the folder and pressed it to my door. The eviction notice had not come from management. It was a copy of the formal notice that had later been issued, but Maddie had staged the public version early so she could film it. Priya paused the video. "That is useful," she said. Useful. That word steadied me. Then I opened the Blue Harbor file. The mortgage note. The occupancy agreement. The payment ledger. The bounced payments. Cure notice. The emails from Maddie promising to pay after the brand deal clears. The text where Blake wrote, "It's not like you'd really foreclose on family." There was also the most important clause. If the borrower used public harassment, fraud, false statements, or reputational harm to interfere with the lender's business or legal rights, the default could be accelerated after written notice. Priya had added that clause. Maddie had initialed it. Priya looked at the video again. "She tagged your business account." "Yes." "And said you were being evicted for fraud." "Yes." "And people have contacted clients." I swallowed. 3 landlords emailed this morning asking if I'm in legal trouble. Priya took off her glasses. "Then this is no longer family drama." That sentence changed the room. It became business. It became documentation. It became proof. Over the next week, I did not respond online. I did not defend myself in the group chat. I did not call my parents. I did not beg Maddie to take the video down. I saved everything. Every comment. Every share. Every lie. Every message from relatives saying my mother told them I had stolen from Maddie. Every screenshot of Maddie calling me a fake business owner, while living in a house financed by that business. Maddie mistook my silence for fear. My mother mistook it for shame. My father mistook it for weakness. But I had stopped arguing because I had started preparing. The first formal letter went to Maddie and Blake. Notice of default. Demand to cure. Demand to retract defamatory statements. Demand to remove the video. They ignored it. The second letter included the payment ledger and acceleration warning. Maddie posted another video. This time she cried. She sat on her porch swing and said, "I can't believe my own sister is trying to make us homeless because I told the truth." That video got more attention than the first. Someone commented, "Stay strong, Mama. Evil never wins." Maddie replied, "God sees everything." She was right. But so did doorbell cameras. So did bank records. So did signed contracts. And on June 3rd, my sister sent out invitations to a housewarming and business launch party at the Hazel Street house. She called it Blessed Roots Interiors. She invited half the town. The invitation said, "Built from nothing but faith, family, and hard work." Priya forwarded it to me with one sentence. "Do you want to handle this privately or correctly?" I stared at the invitation for a long time. Then I typed back, "Correctly." 7. The reveal. The party was on a Saturday afternoon. Blue sky. White balloons. A rented champagne wall. A sign in the front yard that said, "Welcome to Blessed Roots." Maddie had turned the Hazel Street house into a stage. There were gold letters over the fireplace. A grazing table in the dining room. Little cards with her logo beside candles and throw pillows. She had invited local business owners, church friends, neighbors, relatives, and 2 women from a lifestyle blog. I arrived at 2:17 p.m. I wore a navy dress and flat shoes. My hair was pulled back. I had one folder in my hand. Priya walked beside me in a gray suit, carrying nothing but her phone and a leather notebook. The first person who saw me was Aunt Linda. Her smile vanished. "Elise," she said, like my name had spilled on the floor. He nodded. "Aunt Linda." She looked at Priya. "Who is this?" "My attorney." The word moved through the room faster than music. "Attorney." People turned. My mother saw me from near the kitchen island. Her face tightened first with surprise, then anger, then something close to panic. She came toward me quickly. You need to leave, she whispered. I was invited, I said. No, you were not. I lifted my phone and showed her the public event page. Maddie had forgotten to block me from the business account. Mom's jaw clenched. Do not ruin this for her. I looked past her at my sister. Maddie stood near the fireplace in a cream jumpsuit, holding a glass of sparkling water like she was being photographed for a magazine. Blake stood beside her in a blazer he could not afford. When Maddie saw me, she froze. Then she smiled. It was quick and bright and completely false. Elise, she called out. Wow. I didn't expect you to come. The room quieted. She wanted that. Could see it. She wanted another scene. Another clip. Another chance to look wounded in public. I walked toward her slowly. I wanted to support your launch, I said. Her smile sharpened. That's mature of you. Few people laughed awkwardly. My father appeared from the hallway. His face turned red the second he saw Priya. What is this? He said. Priya gave him a polite nod. Good afternoon. Maddie lifted her chin. If you came to threaten me again, don't. Not today. I said nothing. That silence bothered her more than yelling would have. She looked around at her guests. Everyone knows what's been going on. I've tried to handle it with grace. My mother touched her arm. Maddie, sweetheart. No, Maddie said, voice trembling on command. I'm tired of being bullied. People shifted. Someone near the stairs lifted a phone. Maddie saw it and raised her voice slightly. My sister has always resented me. Always. And now because I finally have something of my own, she's trying to take it. There it was. The story she had sold everyone. I heard murmurs behind me. My cousin Rachel whispered, This is so sad. I opened the folder. My hands did not shake. Not because I was brave. Because I had already broken the week before in the pharmacy parking lot. This was what came after breaking. Priya stepped forward. Mrs. Dawson, she said to Maddie, using her married name, before you continue making false statements in a room full of witnesses, I need to confirm that you received our letter dated May 24th. Maddie blinked. I don't know what you're talking about. Priya tapped her phone. You signed for it at 10:06 a.m. on May 25th. Blake leaned toward Maddie. Babe. She snapped. Don't. My father stepped in. We don't recognize any of this harassment. Priya looked at him. You are not a party to the agreement. That sentence made the room go still. Dad looked like someone had closed a door in his face. Maddie laughed, but it sounded thin. Agreement. She helped us. That's all. She's twisting it. I pulled out the first document. This is the recorded mortgage note for 184 Hazel Street, I said. The room went quiet enough for me to hear the ice machine in the kitchen. Maddie's face changed. Just a flicker. But I saw it. I held up the document, not high enough for people to read private details, but enough for them to see signatures. Blue Harbor Holdings LLC purchased this property in 2024 and financed occupancy under a private mortgage agreement. Maddie and Blake signed it in Priya's office. Mom was there. Dad was there. Everyone knew. My mother whispered, Elise. I looked at her. No. One word. She closed her mouth. Maddie's cheeks flushed. That's not how it happened. Priya said. It is exactly how it happened. Then she connected her phone to the television over the fireplace. Maddie said, What are you doing? Priya did not answer. PDF appeared on the screen. The closing statement. The recorded deed history. The mortgage note. Maddie's signature. Blake's signature. Miles's name. A man near the dining table muttered, Oh my God. Maddie stepped toward the TV. Turn that off. I said, No. Her head whipped toward me. This is my house. I looked at her for a long second. No, Maddie. It was your opportunity. The room went silent. That was the first moment of shock. The kind where people stop pretending they are not listening. My sister's eyes filled with tears, but this time they did not look soft. They looked furious. You're doing this because of a stupid video, she said. I pulled out the payment ledger. No. I'm doing this because you missed 4 full payments, made 1 partial payment, ignored 2 legal notices, lied about my business, staged an eviction notice on my door, posted me online for laughs, and damaged the company that holds your mortgage. Blake went pale. Maddie turned on him. Say something. He looked at the ledger on the TV. Maddie. She hissed. Say something. Priya swiped to the next file. The doorbell footage appeared. There was Maddie, walking up to my apartment door at 6:18 a.m., sunglasses on, holding the paper. The room watched her tape the notice to my door. Then the video cut to the clip she had posted online that night, laughing as I carried my belongings in the rain. No one spoke. Not one person. That was the second moment of shock. My mother's hand slowly dropped from Maddie's shoulder. Dad stared at the screen with his mouth slightly open. Aunt Linda looked down at the floor. Maddie whispered, "That doesn't prove anything." Priya said, "It proves intent." Maddie's voice cracked. I was hurt. I looked at her. "No. You were entertained." She flinched. Maddie's posts. My mother's comments. My father's text. "Tear up whatever document you made her sign." Blake's message. "It's not like you'd really foreclose on family." Then the clause appeared. Public harassment. False statements. Reputational harm. Acceleration of default. Maddie stared at it. Her lips parted. I watched the exact moment she remembered initialing that page. Priya said, "As of this morning, Blue Harbor Holdings has initiated formal acceleration of the debt. Mrs. Dawson and Mr. Dawson will receive full legal notice Monday. We are also preserving claims related to defamation, business interference, and harassment." Someone gasped. Maddie grabbed Blake's arm. "Can she do that?" Priya said, "You agreed she could." My mother turned to me, her voice suddenly soft. "Elise, please. Not like this." I looked at her. That softness would have destroyed me 5 years earlier. I would have heard it as love. Now I heard timing. "You didn't ask her not to post me," I said. "You asked me not to embarrass her." Mom's eyes filled. "She's your sister." He nodded. "And I was your daughter." The room seemed to shrink around that sentence. Maddie started crying loudly then. "You're making us homeless." I looked around the house. The candles. The champagne wall. The rented sign. The guests holding little branded cards that said Blessed Roots Interiors. "You made content out of my eviction," I said. "Now you want privacy for yours." Blake sat down hard on the arm of the couch. Dad finally spoke, but his voice had lost its force. "Can we discuss this as a family?" Priya answered before I could. "You had that option after the first letter." Dad looked at her. "This is none of your business." Priya's face did not change. "It is literally my business." A nervous laugh moved through the room, then died. Maddie wiped her face. "I'll take the videos down." "You were asked to do that 10 days ago," I said. "I'll apologize." "You were asked to do that 10 days ago." "What do you want from me?" she shouted. There it was. Not remorse. Not understanding. Negotiation. I closed the folder. "I wanted you to stop lying before you made me prove the truth." She looked smaller then. Not innocent. Just cornered. I turned toward the guests. "I'm sorry this happened here," I said. "Most of you were invited into a story that was not true. I will not be answering personal questions. But if you shared the video of me, I'm asking you to remove it." Nobody moved at first. Then one woman near the door took out her phone and started deleting something. Then another. Then Aunt Linda. Maddie watched them horrified. Not because she had hurt me. Because the audience had changed sides. I walked toward the door. My mother followed me onto the porch. Rain had started again, light and warm this time. "Elise," she whispered. I stopped but did not turn around. I didn't know she staged the notice. I looked back at her. "But you knew she filmed me." Her face crumpled. "You knew she laughed," I said. "You knew I had nowhere to sleep. And you called it accountability." She covered her mouth. For a second, I saw not a villain, not a mother, but a woman realizing her favorite child had cost her the other one. It was too late. I walked down the porch steps. Behind me, through the open door, I heard Maddie screaming at Blake. Then my father's voice. Then Priya's calm reply. I did not look back. For once, I left a family gathering without carrying anything that belonged to them. The fallout. By Monday morning the videos were gone. Not because Maddie regretted them. Because Priya sent preservation notices and takedown demands to every platform where they had been reposted with Maddie's captions attached. The lifestyle blog removed its feature about Blessed Roots interiors before it ever went live. The local business association quietly cancelled Maddie's vendor table for an upcoming event. They did not make a public statement. They just emailed her that her application no longer aligned with their standards. Blake called me first. I did not answer. Then he emailed. The subject line was, "Please read." He wrote that he had not understood the full terms, that Maddie handled the paperwork, that he wanted to work out a payment plan. Priya responded for me. Not emotional, not cruel, just legal. They had 30 days to cure the default or the acceleration would proceed. My parents came next. My father left one voicemail. "Elise, this has gone too far. Your mother hasn't slept. Maddie is spiraling. We need to sit down." That word again. I noticed how quickly it appeared when they needed something from me. I saved the voicemail and sent it to Priya. My mother sent a text at 6:03 a.m. "I am sorry for anything that hurt you." I stared at that sentence for a long time. Anything. That word was a locked door. Not, "I am sorry I called your humiliation accountability." Not, "I am sorry I protected Maddie while she lied." Not, "I am sorry I taught you that love had to be earned through usefulness." Just anything. I did not respond. The family group chat exploded for 3 days. Rachel wrote, "I think we owe Elise an apology." Aunt Linda said, "We did not know the whole story." My father left the chat. Maddie posted once more, a black square with white text. "Betrayal comes from those closest to you." This time nobody from the family commented. That silence was its own consequence. The legal process did not become dramatic overnight. Real life rarely does. There was no sheriff dragging furniture out by sunset. No screaming courtroom confession. No perfect movie ending. There were letters, deadlines, accountant statements, a negotiated settlement meeting in a conference room that smelled like burnt coffee. Maddie arrived wearing sunglasses indoors. Blake looked exhausted. My parents came even though they had no legal role. Priya allowed it because she said, "Let them witness facts for once." Maddie cried through the first 20 minutes. Then Priya laid out 3 options. Cure the arrears, refinance within 90 days, or agree to a voluntary sale under supervision of the LLC. Maddie said, "You're enjoying this." I looked at her across the table. "I am not enjoying any of this." Then stop. "No." Her mouth twisted. "You've changed." That almost made me laugh. "No," I said. "I stopped discounting myself so you could afford me." No one answered. In the end, Blake's parents helped them refinance part of the debt, but not enough to keep the house. The Hazel Street property was sold 6 months later. Blue Harbor recovered the outstanding balance, legal fees, and damages related to the business interference claim through settlement. Maddie moved into a rental outside town. Her interior business never launched. My parents told people it was a complicated financial misunderstanding. But people knew. Not every detail. Not every document. But enough. 4 years, my family had survived by making sure only one version of every story was told. That stopped when the receipts entered the room. As for me, I did not move back into Building C. Mrs. Alvarez let me stay in her guest room for 12 days. She made coffee every morning and never asked questions unless I wanted to answer them. Eventually, the insurance dispute on my duplex resolved. I moved into the renovated upstairs unit in September. The first night there, I sat on the floor with takeout noodles, surrounded by boxes, and listened to the radiator click. No one called. No one demanded. No one needed me to apologize for surviving. The silence felt strange at first. Then it felt like peace. 9. What I learned. People think revenge is loud. Sometimes it is. Sometimes revenge looks like a lawyer opening a file in a room full of people who were comfortable believing lies. Sometimes it looks like a video being deleted after everyone has already seen who posted it. Sometimes it looks like your father realizing he cannot shame you into tearing up a contract. But the deepest revenge is not watching someone else lose. It is realizing they no longer have access to the part of you that begged. For years, I believed being the strong daughter meant taking less. Less help. Less comfort. Less forgiveness. Less protection. I thought if I asked for nothing, they would finally see that I deserved something. But some families do not reward your silence. They build a whole system on top of it. Maddie was not the only problem. She was the favorite, yes. She was selfish, yes. She was cruel when she thought cruelty had an audience. But my parents built the stage. They taught her that her tears mattered more than my truth. They taught me that my pain became disrespectful the second I named it. They taught everyone around us that if Maddie was upset, someone else must have done something wrong. And I let that rule control me longer than I want to admit. I do not speak to Maddie now. I do not speak to my father. My mother sends messages on holidays. I answer only when I choose, and only with what I can give without betraying myself. The first Christmas after everything happened, she texted, "I miss my girls." I wrote back, "You had two. You protected one." She did not respond. That was okay. I no longer needed her to understand everything before I allowed myself to heal. Blue Harbor grew after the scandal, which surprised me. A few landlords who had seen the posts later saw the documents. One of them called and said, "Anyone who keeps records like that is exactly who I want managing my property." I laughed for the first time in weeks. I still hate that video existed. Sometimes I remember the sound of Maddie laughing from inside her car, and my stomach tightens. Sometimes I think about those comments, people making jokes while I stood in the rain with my life in trash bags. But then I remember the porch, the television, the documents on the screen, the silence after the truth appeared. And I remember that humiliation only lasts forever if you accept the version of yourself they tried to create. I was not the professional victim. I was the person who finally stopped protecting the people who kept betraying me. I was not homeless. I was between walls. I was not powerless. I was quiet. There is a difference. If you have ever been the one they called dramatic because you told the truth, I hope you hear me clearly. Keep the receipts. Not because you want war. Because people who rewrite history count on you being too ashamed to bring proof. Do not scream over lies forever. Build your life. Protect your name. Read the contract. Save the message. Trust the pattern. And when the day comes, let the truth walk into the room before you do. I lost a family system that only loved me when I was useful. But I gained a life where love does not require evidence to be believed. That was worth more than the house. That was worth more than the apology. That was worth more than being chosen by people who only reached for me when they needed something carried. 10. Final message. If this story reminded you of someone who laughed when you were at your lowest, remember this. Their audience is not the truth. Their version is not your identity. And sometimes justice arrives quietly, wearing a suit, carrying documents, and letting the receipts speak louder than rage. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we share stories about betrayal, survival, family secrets, public exposure, and the kind of karma that comes when someone finally stops begging to be believed.